Welcome to Leadership on Fire. I'm Linda Fields. I want to talk to you today about one of my favorite stories in the Bible of leadership, and it includes Elisha and Elijah. You may have read about their story. So let me clue you in on the quick version summary. Elijah was a prophet, and God had given him an assignment to go anoint his successor. And so he had spotted Elisha, who was plowing in the field on the appointed day that he was to be, quote unquote, anointed. There's another word I want to talk about quickly. It's the word mantle. We think of the word mantle as a cloak. It's not necessarily a physical cloak, but it's a cloak of authority. Have you ever watched somebody just walk in the room? You're at a Chamber of Commerce meeting or a professional meeting, and all of a sudden all eyes are on this person. You can just tell somebody has just walked in the door. Somebody who has clout, who has authority, who everybody's paying attention to. Now, nobody would say that guy has a mantle these days, but in Bible time days, we might have said, hey, that man is wearing a mantle of authority. So think of it as an invisible spiritual cloak or garment that a leadership person wears that kind of demonstrates to the rest of the room who they are. Now, don't get fixated on that. That can get you in trouble too. But on this day, on this appointed day, Elisha was busy doing his day job. He was plowing with the oxen. And Elijah came by, and the scripture says he literally passed by and threw his mantle over on Elisha. Now you might say, wow, is it that easy? And the next day, were all of Elisha's problems solved, and was he in a top tier leadership position? Well, it doesn't quite work that way. But what I love about what did happen next is that Elisha, in my words, signed up for leadership school. We don't hear all of the stories in between his demonstration of great prophetic gifts and the day that he got the cloak, got the title, got the name on the door as the successor to Elijah. But I can just imagine there were plenty of times behind the scenes doing the hard work, preparing the meals, traveling, going from city to city, supporting Elijah. You might call it being in the back room, making the copies or making the coffee. And all this time, his leadership was being shaped. It was not automatic and it was not instant. So I want to encourage you, if you're in a season of your leadership development where you're yearning for that next level, don't ignore the lessons of the day, which are critical for your development. Be teachable, coachable, and trainable. Now, when I look at this story of Elijah and Elisha, I'm going to fast forward several chapters to something that happened in 2 Kings 2:9, where Elijah was about to pass the torch, literally. He was about to leave the planet and was going to, he knew his time was near. So he asked Elisha a question. Now listen to this. Everybody write this down. He said, Elisha, I'm about to depart. What is it that you want me to do for you? Elisha was dogged about following him everywhere. In the scripture, it'll say Elijah was going over here and said, stay here till I come back. And Elisha's like, no, I'm going with you. No, I'm going with you. I mean, he did it time after time after time. And when the day came that Elijah asked the big question, I'm about to leave, what is it you want me to do for you? Do you know he had an answer like in the split second? And he said, I want a double portion of what you have. Now, let me just ask you, if the person who's training you or the person whose leadership you admire or the one who you feel like you've been in the shadow of their leadership and training were to ask you tomorrow, hey, I'm changing assignments, I'm moving to something else. If there's something I could do for you, what would it be? Do you have the question ready? Or would you be stammering and stuttering and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening? I want to ask you to take a moment to go before the Lord and pray about your leadership development, who you're learning from, and the whole learning experience. Are you signed up? Are you hungry? Are you taking in the lessons? And if someone were to ask you the big question, what could I do for you? What would you say? Be ready.